Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Season 3, Episode 2 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, where it's time to review Wedding Bell Blues, where we have two interesting characters in this one, to say the least. So, this episode takes place during the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Federation. You know, Federation Day that we seen at the end of Picard Season 3 that led to that Borg incursion happening. Yeah, well, now we have the 100th anniversary in 2261. Which is interesting. And it's just a shame that we don't get to see much of it throughout this episode, because this episode doesn't focus on that. It's the backdrop of the episode, but it's not the main focus, because the main focus is a TOS character return slash first introduction. So, it's been 3 months since the Gorn attack, and then so the Enterprise has been basically in dry dock ever since then. And because of that, you know, they've just been dealing with stuff, and, you know, it's a Spock-centric episode. Well, I'll just say that. This episode is centered around Spock. And he basically is talking about how he can't wait for Nurse Chapel to come back, because it's been 3 months. You know, it's been 3 months, and he's hoping that those 3 months apart are enough to rekindle their relationship. You know, because he still has very strong feelings towards Christine. However, when she beams back, she's not alone. She's with a Robert Corby, who we know to be her ex-fiancé and What Our Little Girl's Made Of from that TOS episode. So yeah, but this is our first introduction, and the actor who's playing him is Irish. Huzzah! And actually gets to keep the Irish accent. Huzzah again! You know, good representation, you know, not just that god-awful, piss poor of an excuse of an Irish accent that we got in the Section 31 movie at the beginning of this year. Yes, I'm still salty about that. But the Irish have more to celebrate in that. Because later on in the episode, Scotty orders 2 points of Guinness. So it's good to know that in the 2260s, Guinness is still around. Huzzah! However, the heads on those Guinnesses, Christ almighty, they're the teeny tiniest of fucking heads on those things. I'm not a big drinker. I've never been drunk in my life. I'm not a big drinker and all that stuff. But as an Irishman, seeing the heads on those points just really it bothered me. It bothered me. I'm sorry. It bothers me. You know, if you're going to pull a point of Guinness, you have to do it correctly. Because if I was in that situation as an Irishman and they get me a dead head of that much, I would fucking say, here, come off of it. Give me a real point, because I'm sure as shit not drinking that. You know, as any sane Irish person would do, you know, if they're given such a dead head of a Guinness. Anyway, back to the episode. Some mysterious force has infiltrated the ship and has given Spock a drink because, you know, Corby and Christine are talking about the time that they actually officially got together and stuff like that. Spock's there. He's obviously, you know, he's feeling, even though his face doesn't show it, but he's hurting inside. You know, remember at the end of in one of the episode 9 of last season, you know, Subspace Rhapsody, where they were all having a song and a dance, and he sang the I Am the X song, which is still a banger. You know, it's actually in my breakups playlist for a reason. You know, but anyway, yeah, this person, you know, he puts on a facade so people don't see who he really is, but we knew from the moment we seen set photos of the actor whose name is escaping me at the moment, the getup he was wearing, we knew who he was, and that is Tralee from the Squire of Gotos episode from the original series. So yeah, Tralee has made his reappearance, but also technically in canon-wise, first appearance. And so let's talk about that, because this is very interesting, because, you know, in beta canon, there's a book in beta canon where Q goes to Picard to help him deal with Tralee, because it's confirmed in that book, that beta canon book, that Tralee is a Q. He's a member of the Q continuum. And, you know, it's been, ever since we've seen Q show up in Encounter at Farpoint, people have been comparing him to Tralee. And in this episode, the Tralee character keeps, you know, he does the snaps. True, that's to me now 100% confirming that book was true, that, you know, Tralee is a Q, but they kind of also do something at the end of the episode. So I'll get back to that. So he gives, you know, a wish to Spock, and that is to marry Christine. And so that's the whole episode. And it's not until after, you know, Corby comes in and says that, hey, this isn't right. I'm with Christine, you're not, this isn't real. And Spock proper decks the bastard, which, props to you, Ethan Peck. I'm pretty sure you hold a good fucking jab there. You know, and that's what snaps him out of it. He's like, oh. And then they wake up in bed together. You know, Spock's lying there, and then Corby, he's obviously lying there because he just got decked and knocked out, and he just arrives, and he's right next to Spock, so... Yeah, anyway, that's interesting. And so... Basically, then, you know, they're trying to get the rest of the crew to snap out of it. He tries to get Sam Kirk to deck him one. That doesn't happen. He tries to convince other people. That's not going to happen. So when Tralee figures it out that they're not going to play ball, he's like, well, you have two options. You either play by my rules or I'm going to murder everyone. And so then the wedding almost happens, and, you know, Corby tries to object, gets turned into a dog, and then as Spock confesses his feelings, the power of love is what knocks Christine out of it. And then Tralee's parent shows up again, voiced by John Delancey. So that's what I'm saying. So I love this episode. This is a really good episode. I'm not gonna lie. It's very fun. It's very whimsical. You know, it's a Q episode without being a Q episode, but as a prequel to the Squire of Gotos. You know, shit like that. There's a lot to it, you know. The fact that it's still paying homage to that episode where the father comes and sees that, oh, his 8,020-year-old is running amok. He appears as an orb of light, and then obviously Tralee turns back into that, and then it goes off, and then everything gets undone, and that's the end of the episode. Yeah, it's a really good episode. Obviously now Christine and, you know, Corby, they're together, and we know how this ends. You know, they're going to get engaged. Somehow they're going to break off the engagement, and Spock and Chapel, they're never going to get back together. You know, because we've seen that in the original series. You know, Christine still has a lot of feelings for Spock, and she, you know, in the original series, she has said those feelings to him a bunch. But he never reciprocated after this incident. You know, after last season, but it's, you know, I was going to say last year's episode, but it's really 2 fucking years ago. And yes, I'm still salty the fact that we've had to wait 2 fucking years for this. But I enjoyed the episode. I really did. So let me know what you thought of this episode in the comments down below. How do you feel about seeing Tralee? And not only that, or Tralee, or Trelane. Don't call it after a fucking area in Ireland, Tralee. It's Trelane. I know that's probably pissed off a lot of people that I kept butchering it. And I do apologize about that. But Trelane, because Tralee and Trelane, they sound similar. I'm dyslexic as fuck. You know, I mentioned this in a few videos. But anyway, moving forward, next Thursday, the reviews will be back to the Thursdays. It's just that I had little to no time yesterday to watch both episodes to put up reviews, hence why you're getting a double upload today. So if you missed my previous upload where I break down how like my star rating, how I go about that on Letterboxd, it was posted a couple of hours ago. But thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think of having Trelane and Q, John Delancey in this episode, and I'll catch you all Monday. What is Monday? That's the wrong date. I have a particular video coming out on Monday. I actually can't remember exactly what that is, but I'm going to find out now for myself. But I'll catch you all on Monday for the next upload.